you're a new business owner, if you're a seasoned business owner, regardless, you need capital for your business if you want to scale your operations. So by the end of the video, the end of the podcast episode, you're gonna know how to acquire anywhere from 50,000 to 500,000 extra capital, so that you can go ahead and scale your operations, get to the next level. Maybe you're real estate. Maybe you're in e-commerce. Maybe you're working on your personal brand. You want to invest in advertisement. You want to put it on a credit card so you're getting free reward points. No matter your situation, maybe you want to get a BBL. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? No matter your situation, we're going to talk about it. And I just want to go over some misconceptions that a lot of people have when it comes to funding, business funding, and things like that. So, number one, a lot of people think that your personal credit doesn't necessarily matter, and you can go ahead and get business funding with no credit, bad credit, etc. That's the wrong mindset to have because you got to think about it like the personal credit is the foundation that's going to influence what you get on the business side. So number one, we want to make sure that we have the right foundation. No matter where you're at right now, work with people like you. Maybe you have good credit, maybe you don't have good credit. I've seen so many different things, but the foundation is a personal credit. Maybe you've been in years in business. Maybe you're just establishing. Regardless, you have to have that personal credit established. So number one, have the personal credit established. If you don't know where to pull your credit reports, we'll have multiple videos teaching you as far as that process and how to go about that. But I just want us to focus on just the limitless opportunities when it comes to actually getting, this funding and getting the money, because you should be able to get at least 50 to 500K. So make sure your personal credit is right. Make sure you have no negatives. Make sure you have 100% payment history. You want to make sure that you beef up your credit report. So I typically, before I take on anybody for funding, I like to see them have at least 5 positive primary accounts. So these are accounts in your own name. I'm not talking about authorized user trade lines. If you need to add trade lines, that should be the minority versus the majority of your actual accounts, because you have to look at it. These lenders, they're looking at it as, can I trust this person? If you just have a bunch of AUs, you're not necessarily somebody that they could trust, right? Think about it as loaning money to somebody. So keep that in mind. When it comes to actually getting the funding, so let's say, we've skipped past it. We understand how to actually structure our credit report. We have at least a 680 plus on our credit score, no negatives, 5 primary accounts. Then we talk about the strategy. What are we going to do as far as going to get the funding? How much are we seeking to go ahead and get the funding? For the sake of the video, the podcast episode, we're talking about anywhere from 50,000 up to $500,000 in funding, right? And when you get towards that $500,000 mark, that's because you're going to multiple banks. But you have to understand what banks do you actually go to, right? So this is where the strategy comes into play. This is where you got to identify what you're actually looking for, though. Are you in e-commerce? Are you a real estate investor? Are you in trucking? No matter where you're at, no matter what you're doing to invest your money, to scale your money, at the end of the day, money is green. Green is money, money is green. So it's used anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're in trucking, it doesn't matter if you're in e-commerce, it doesn't matter if you're trying to get a BBL, it doesn't matter, whatever. I've worked with multiple different small business owners. So if you're in credit, like let's say you're working on your credit repair business, you could take these funds and go invest it into like a life insurance policy. You can invest it into your own personal brand as far as scaling your operations. Because let's say you put a couple thousand a month, at least on advertisement, you put it on the credit card. Let's say you get it on the credit card. What you're going to do is you're getting free reward points. Now you have free flights, free trips, right? So keep that in mind. Don't miss out on the opportunity of getting free money as far as the funding, because you don't want to use your own capital to fund everything. If you got $100,000 to your name, but you can get access to $1 million in funding, it's going to allow you to scale quicker versus using your own $100,000. This is why I'm so passionate about getting small business owners the capital that they need to go ahead and scale their operations, right? So keep that in mind. So once your credit is where it's supposed to be, now we come up with the plan. We need to figure out, okay, what are we going to go about as far as getting the funding? So number one, this is what I want y'all to focus on: credit unions. Credit unions, credit unions, credit unions. So I'm going to give y'all one credit union. So one credit union is DCU. DCU will allow you to, get the funding that you need. If you go to a different credit union, Just basically ask them what kind of products do they have? What stated income products do you have? If you don't know what stated income is, it basically means that you don't need to provide a documentation is essentially for as how much you project that you make in your business. I'm not telling you to lie or anything, but do what you will with the information. If you project that your business is going to do $300,000 next year, 400,000, so it doesn't make sense, right? That's what your projected income is, right? So I want y'all to really identify the different credit unions that you're actually attacking. Basically do the research. One resource that I use that's very helpful as far as doing the research is Bank Branch Locator. If you go to Bank Branch Locator, it's going to allow you to basically know all the banks in all 50 states. So you just search, call, ask them the products, you'll figure out what you need to figure out. So you have to come up with a plan. So the typical thing that we see when we're getting people funding, we're able to get up to $50,000 in a business credit card, as well as $50,000 no doc line of credit. So we have a list that we actually attack. And if you don't have access to the information, you don't know what you don't know, I would just recommend that you get with an expert, because funding is one of those things you don't want to mess up. Also, let me go back to the structuring of your credit profile. When it comes to hard inquiries, a lot of people are like, don't have more than 3 to 4 per bureau, which is true. But one thing that a lot of people fail to realize is that you got to look at the age of the hard inquiries. So if you don't know what a hard inquiry is, it's basically when you apply for credit and they mark it that you apply for credit, basically. So let's say you have like 5, 7 hard inquiries. If all of them are at least 6 months old, 6 months to a year, the hard inquiry is not impacting you as much. I've taken on people where I got them approved for funding where they had like at least 7 across the board, because majority of those hard inquiries were over 6 months old, 6 months to a year, at least, right? Hard inquiries stay on your credit report for 2 years. So keep that in mind if you're not aware of that. So that's something I want y'all to be aware of as well. So yeah, just make sure that your credit profile is structured correctly, and you have to have a plan as far as the banks that you're actually going to hit. You need to know who you're going to hit, right? So if you're a real estate investor, you're like, I need 100K so I can go invest in this property and flip it, right? Do whatever you need to do. Get access to the capital based off of leveraging your personal credit and then going to, get the business funding as well. Get 0% interest business credit cards, 0% interest cards. If you have a 0% interest $50,000 card, what's going to happen is, let's say you take the $50,000 off of it. What happens now, because you are in a 0% interest period for like 9 months or a year, you're paying only $500 a month off of you taking $50,000. So if you can't flip or make a return on your investment in that 9-month to 12-month period, real estate is not the what's it called? It's not the business for you. If you're in e-commerce, you get your products. You obviously need to invest in your marketing, things like that. You take the $50,000. You're on a $500 a month thing. You should be bringing in sales. I know y'all get y'all products, from overseas, and it's super affordable, right? So keep that in mind. Those of y'all that do, I guess people that do drop shipping too, but I know those of y'all that do physical products, a lot of times your manufacturers are overseas and you're flipping it for a profit. So you should be able to make the return back on your investment. If you're in trucking, the same thing. You just want to have a plan to where like, okay, if I take off this $50,000, this line of credit, if I take off 25 of it at a time, I know that I'm going to be able to make a return on my investment. That's the whole purpose of doing it. The thing too, like I said, you don't know what you don't know. So if you know you haven't funded people thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions of dollars in approvals, you're going to want to get with an expert. You're going to want to get with an expert and, just allow them to do what they do, right? There's going to be a fee attached to that, 10% success fee. At the end of the day, let's say you're looking to get $500,000, right? You're looking to get $500,000, but you don't even know how to get the $500,000. Why are you not investing with somebody that's done it, that's an expert, so that they can, help you get it, and then all of a sudden you just paid the $50,000, right? So keep that in mind as far as if you want to get the funding. But if you can do it yourself, definitely. But you just got to know what banks actually hit. And a lot of people think it's just filling out applications and things like that, but there's so many differing factors that come into play. So this is why I want y'all to go about it and know what you're actually doing. If you don't know what you're doing, hire somebody that can help you get the funding. Hire somebody that can help you get the funding. So yeah, that 50K is like minimum. So if you go to one credit union that has no docs, right? No doc line of credit, you get up to 50,000. That's already 50,000 right there. Let's say you get the business credit card as well attached to them. It's two products just from one hard pull, right? So now you got 100,000. So if you do that between 5 different banks. Each of them takes one hard inquiry, and then maybe a couple take all 3 hard inquiries. You're already up 500,000 basically. So this is a mindset I want y'all to keep in mind. So we gave y'all a digital federal credit union. DCU is a credit union you can go ahead and get funding with. I have a list that I use when I'm getting people funding, but you can start there. Watch my previous videos as well. Probably mention some other places you can go ahead and get funding with, but the main thing I wanted to talk about on this podcast episode today was simply the fact that a lot of people neglect their personal credit. Do not neglect your personal credit. Personal credit is going to drive what you get in your business. And also, your LLC. There's funding for people that have a new LLC. There's funding for people that have to be at least 2 years old, right? So keep that in mind as well as you're going about your funding. This is why I say if you don't know what banks to go with, just hire an expert to actually help you. But apply for banks where maybe it's less than 2 years. If you're less than 2 years, if you are 2 years and you can provide those proof of income, tax statements and all that, go ahead and take advantage as long as you're doing what you need to be doing within your business. So I think that's pretty much what I wanted to let y'all know on this episode. So practical thing for y'all to do if your credit is not at least a 680 and you have negative items, then go ahead and fix that. But once you actually get to that 680 plus, you have primary accounts, at least 5 positive primary accounts. We like to see 10. You have not too many hard inquiries. You're structured well. You have an LLC, 2 years old or not 2 years old. Go to Bank Branch Locator, start doing your research. If you don't want to sit and do the research, you don't want to sit calling people. I'm passionate about doing that, so I don't mind doing it. Go ahead and hire an expert to help you do it so you can get to the next level. Y'all let me know all the funding approvals that y'all are getting. First Citizens Bank, that's a good bank to go to as well. NASA Federal Credit Union, like I said, DCU, obviously Navy Federal, people know about that as well. And Key Bank is good too. So it really just depends. And if a bank isn't located in your area, there's ways around that. You can always file like a foreign LLC and go about it that way if you really want to. Georgia is a good state for products, so it's a good place to look at as well. Pennsylvania is good for no doc stuff. So yeah, just keep it in mind and just get 1% better each and every day. So go to Bank Branch Locator, look it up. Look up your local area. Okay, I'm gonna call these banks. You want to dedicate a couple hours to just literally calling these banks and asking them questions. Do you have stated income products, right? What are your stated income products? How much can I request for funding before y'all start asking for documentation? You can literally ask these questions. Like, don't make it overly deep. If you don't want to go about that process, get in contact with us. We'll help you get the funding you need so you can grow your business to the next level. If you're in real estate, if you're in trucking, if you're in e-commerce, no matter what, right, we'll help you grow it. If you're just somebody that's on the personal side, if you're like, okay, I'm watching this podcast episode, I'm listening, but I don't actually have a business. I just want to do something simple, like put it in a life insurance policy that's going to help me accrue cash value, like a whole life policy. We can help you do that as well. We can do personal, we can do business, we do it all. Passionate about getting these approvals, so keep that in mind. You can do it yourself, but at the end of the day, you need to focus on doing what you need to do, which is being good in your business. So if you want to get tapped in, go ahead. Hopefully y'all can take some practical advice from this episode. I gave y'all a few banks, just run the play multiple times and you'll be able to get the funding that you need. You can get anywhere from 50 to $500,000 to even more, as long as your credit is structured how it's supposed to. So structure your credit. You could do the stuff with building a business credit with all the vendors and things like that, but most people that get funding, they don't want to go through that, so they just leverage their personal. This is why I say your personal has to be right. They leverage your personal. Your personal is basically co-signing the business, saying that, okay, my personal is strong, so this is why you should give me X amount of funding. So keep that in mind. There's multiple ways of how you can go about it, and use bank branch or locator, like I said. With that being said, y'all have a blessed one.